way I don't get any phone calls. All right, here we go. It's been a while. We're doing a live show. We're covering Beyond the Map's Edge, and we're talking about the story Bandit, Banquet. And at the end of this, I'll be going into kind of a conglomeration, mashup, a condensation of a lot of the Discord conversations I've been a part of personally. What I've gleaned from that, a couple of theories that have been, I guess, battle tested, right? With some verbal sparring back and forth. The conclusions I got from that. So that's the topic of this video, is covering Bandit Banquet, that story, and then we'll go into this past week and a half, some Discord conversations and what I've personally taken from those. Okay, so here we go, Bandit Banquet, one of my favorite stories, like the alliteration, like the double B's. Hey, what's up, Tim? Hey, thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Love the alliteration, love the subject matter, love raccoons. It's very, very interesting, right? You know, I asked him a question on my interview about raccoons. He kind of went into some more detail about that. Other than, there's very few subjects that appear as often in the book as raccoons. Hey, Nicholas Stevens, what's going on, man? Howdy, howdy. So, what can we get from that? I haven't pulled anything major from it, other than, you know, raccoons have 2 C's, 2 O's, so kind of a more hint of the alliteration. Also, I mean, he really genuinely seems to enjoy them. The story that he told on my interview about having one as a pet, how often he brings them up. I mean, maybe he just really likes it as an animal, and that's why he wanted to include it. But let's go ahead and get into the story and see what we can take out. All right. One of the first things that jumps out is the state Wisconsin, right? It's not in our it's not in our purview in the Western U.S. You know, as far as whenever he writes dialogue between himself, Justin, and another character, right? PD Pablo love raccoons, all right? We're going to get into them today. Whenever Justin writes dialogue between himself and another character, I always look at it, especially if it's something he's recalling from many, many years ago, right? Because the memory's a little fuzzy, so a lot of times if you're recalling a conversation from years and years ago, if you're putting it in a book or story, you're kind of going to layer in what you're trying to get across. So right away, the librarian says, you know, that said it Wisconsin deer. She said, as if raccoons checked maps at state borders. So I've heard a few of them more, because people know I like raccoons and I'm big on the raccoon theme in the book. A few people have reached out with all the raccoon related theories, and one of them is right there at the bottom of page 67, as if raccoons checked maps at state borders. So they're like, there you go, that's it right there, it's along a state border. Here we go. Let's get into the chat. All right, love the live chat. HDS, yo, hi. Debbie, what's up, Froggy? McDouble, do I like CDs? I know where you're going with that one. Dinosaur Canoe, great name. Hello, S.A. Clay Bear Travels. What's going on, guys? All right. So we go on. He talks about Rascal, right? And that's one of the names in my interview where he says, you know, he had 2 raccoons, which he seemed under the impression that he thought that story was in the book. I'll have to go back and check that again. But that story is not in the book, which leads me to believe, along with other comments, that there were more stories that didn't get included, right? Just more evidence that whatever he has is relevant in here. Okay, going on through, you know, there's the famous Saguaro again, page 67. This direct sentence quote is, the summer sun had scorched the desert into submission, a merciless heat that left even the saguaros thirsting for relief, all right? And a lot of people are checking the saguaros. And on the next page, page 68, we have this famous photo, right? If you follow the author, the illustrator on Instagram, she has a couple sentences, couple quotes about this specific photo, right? And there's, you can see the raccoons. You can see there's 6 of them. Justin specifically said in the prompt he wanted 6 of them. And we also see his famous pizza pants, which will make an appearance later on. I want to fly to Statesville and drive the trip. Oh yeah, some JCB talk. Yeah, sure, the truth. I'd love to do that, Clay. Debbie documentary, him and Brandon had matching raccoon shirts. That's very true. I like all these people staying away from John Search. Yep. Well, except for Clay Bear. Clay Bear's after it, Davio. All right, so here we go. Top of page 69. But it's way too late. The book had already worked its magic, conjuring visions of grandeur. Me and my furry accomplice strutting down the school hallways, while other people had, you know, their lesser mundane hamsters. So here we go. This is going to play a role back in the like 2 pages toward the end of the book. He says, "My brother Brandon," direct quote, "gifted with what we called his animal sense," that's in italics, "stepped naturally into the role of chief wildlife ambassador." All right, this was a kid who mastered animal sounds before English, who once calmed a frantic hawk with quiet chirps and whistles until Dad entangled it from the fence. So this is the sentence I want to focus on. He brought this same gentle focus to our raccoon project, developing a language of soft trills and purrs that our masked visitors seem to understand perfectly. All right, so let's go down to we're going to skip to the end because anytime he mentions the brother, we want to pay attention, especially in a sense of like modern day and how he misses his brother, stuff like that. Anything like there is pretty important to focus on. So page 71, we hear the last paragraph, direct quote right here. "Sometimes in the quiet of night, I swear I hear Brandon's old raccoon greeting echoing in the darkness." And because he says greeting, not greetings, it makes me think it's one specific greeting. And I don't know if we actually see that. So again, anytime he pulls in his brother, you want to pay attention. And anytime he mentions something that we kind of have to look for, I think is kind of important. So again, the theory we're chasing down right now is that into page 71, he's reminiscing, talks about bringing out the food bowl again. He's current day, right? "Sometimes in the quiet of night, I swear I hear Brandon's old," because Brandon passed, so this is current time. "I swear I hear Brandon's old raccoon greeting echoing in the darkness," right? So again, did Brandon have a specific raccoon greeting that we're missing in this chapter? Because in the introduction, I still hear he talks about, Brandon had animal sense, right? Which is, italicized right there. Talks about he brought the same gentle focus to our raccoon project, developing a language of soft trills and purrs. But I don't know if it's a specific greeting. So that was just something from this story that I kind of like put a little question mark, put a little asterisk by, trying to figure out, is there a raccoon greeting? Because if raccoon appears a bunch of times in the book, maybe there's a secret phrase that he uses. I know it's a little bit silly. It's one of my rabbit holes, but I'm making a video, so why not? Let's see who we got. Posey should be easier. I have a solve for Posey. Keep it myself. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. We're in there. About 15 people here. Let's move on. So we go back to page 69. There's the famous Uncle Hiram, who's always associated with like a treasure. Like the first couple times he's introduced, Uncle Hiram gives him a book that leads him down a treasure trail or leads him on a treasure hunt. So right there, besides they've got better table manners than your Uncle Hiram. The dad's on board with this whole project, and that actually matches what Justin said about how when he got his 2 raccoon pets. This is from my interview, not from the book. His dad like woke him up and like snuck him out on like a mission, and they just him and his brother went and they rescued these 2 kits, right? So I think that's a term for a baby raccoon. So the dad's completely on board, right? Dad's enthusiasm bloomed with each raccoon encounter. So maybe you could say the raccoons are a tie-in to his father, right? Because if the dad plays a big role in this chapter, and then in the story he told, his dad was the one that gave him the 2 raccoon pets. Maybe this is kind of this is a little bit far, right? This is like 1 or 2 steps removed, but maybe the raccoons are a way to connect with his father, and they're metaphorically or whenever they appear, it's the father. I don't know. It's a little bit far out there. Voting California for. Hey, you're one of the very rare ones, and I'll talk about that toward the end of the video. But Catherine, you're you won't have a lot of company, which is good for you because that's a higher chance that you'll find it. So, all right. There's some more Brandon's communicating with him, right? Which I kind of I don't go too far down because it just seems the way he's describing it's like tongue in cheeks, along with the the dad talking about Deming's fast ducks, right? So this is Brandon. He's interpreting. He's the ambassador. Here we go. So we have some specific names for a few of the raccoons. Bandit, King. We have the Professor, Shadowfoot. So that's only 3 names out of 6. So why he included those 3 and not the other 3 of the 6, or why those are the only 3 included, I don't know. Maybe there's something to be said for there. And then when we get to the climax of the story, I guess, is him getting woken up in the middle of the night, coming in. The raccoons had come down like the chimney flue and had like it made a huge mess in the kitchen, right? That's kind of what the picture is depicting. and he yells for his dad. Pajama clad Saint George, right? I know we need. I don't think we need to go too deep into that rabbit hole, but some people have, and I mean, it's a pretty. He's an interesting character, Saint George, right? Fighting the dragon, English associated saint, a famous knight. So Defender of the Realm, that's a big one for anyone who's going down the whole realm rabbit hole, right? Very few times the word realm is mentioned in the whole book, so that's one I would definitely put a little asterisk by. Uh, Again, that's the bottom of page 70. He looked less like a defender of the realm and more like someone who'd wandered into the wrong bedtime story. So whether that's a specific key that the dad is the owner of the realm, but he says defender, right? So if you're the defender of the realm, that's kind of like you're a knight. You're not really the owner of the realm. The realm doesn't belong to you. You're just defending it. So here we go. All right, so then we go Brandon up here. Again, he's communicating, talking about his chirps and chitters. They say they're sorry. The cookie's worth it. We got a little bit of a biblical reference, David and Moses and David Attenborough, and that's kind of it, right? The dad's kind of making a joke. We should have started with something smaller, coyotes, and then we get to the end. I did hear some people talk about the tree rings and tree trunk. I don't know if I really go too deep into that rabbit hole right there. But we do hear him talk about the scientific method, right? Experiments beyond hypothesis stage, which I think is a great way to attack this hunt, is the scientific method. Dinosaur defend guards 8. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Maybe he's guards in the book in the poem twice. So defend is like guards, along with the lines of sentinel that people are talking about. So maybe this is he's a guard or he's a defender. I mean, he quite literally is defending the kitchen from the raccoons. All right, and then it talks about the very end. Oh, Professor Pudge. I do want to say that where's the Professor Pudge thing? Page 70. Let's see. Are the notes at the top of page? Yeah, page 71. As the final tale vanished into the darkness, Professor Pudge paused at the threshold. He fixed me with an unmistakably professorial look, and he says, and here's a dash, right? So there's a dash, and then this sentence, and then another dash. I swear on my complete collection of nature documentaries, right? Adjusting imaginary glasses before melting into the night. Because it's such a random sentence there, and, he's the one that who named Professor? I thought it was Justin. Let me just double check it. Who named the professor? Brandon named our nocturnal friends. Oh, Brandon named the professor. Okay, good. So Brandon's the one that named all of them. Brandon named Professor Pudge. Brandon named Bandit King because of his notched ear, and Brandon named Shadowfeet. All right, so there's maybe there's another Brandon connection there. So maybe, I don't know, the raccoons they lean more toward the father? Do they lean more toward Brandon? Are they both? Are they just a way to remember his family in general? Because the father was on board. The father kind of introduced his two pets, but Brandon is the one that communicated with them. Brandon's the one who named them. I don't know. Very, very, very interesting. The dad was the defender of the realm. This is for a silly story, right? A fun, humorous story. This one has a lot of meat, I would call it. Where there are other stories that seem more focused, like stories that are focused on treasures, stories that are focused on his genealogy, stories that are even focused on like his future wife. There's some stuff to be gained from there, but this one, I mean, it's hitting defenders, realms, Sagaro, Brandon, the father. There's a lot in this silly story, which I think is a great way to mask it. If you're creating this, massive hunt and you want to, put some clues in a book, everyone's going to kind of gravitate toward the more serious ones and kind of write off a silly story. Maybe that's a great way to mask it, right? You put some more heavier clues in the silly stories, and then the more obvious, or what would seem to be obvious stories, like stories about Victoria Peak, stories about him looking for gold, stories about meeting key family members, or stories reminiscing key family members. Maybe those are just personal stories and there's not as many hints, right? That's just a theory I'm working on. All right, so that brings us to the end of Bandit, the Bandit Banquet. Double B is right there. Both start with BAN. I don't know if the band. I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about some stuff that's been going on in Discord for the past couple of days. This isn't the Discord drama chapter. This is not the Discord drama channel, right? I'm not gonna do a voiceover of anyone's voices or AI representations of anyone. This is just kind of the conversations I personally been involved in. I'd go deeper into the constellation. Oh yeah, okay, good. Talking with each other. That's good. I support and encourage the engagement there. All right, so I lost my train of thought. I was reading that. Oh, legal. Let's start with legal, okay? Because so I think we all, from what we can agree on, Brandon, still on my head. Justin is very legally oriented, right? As far as his book and protecting it, right? You know, bubble wrapping it, as he says. We know he kind of tried to backdoor through legal means, talking to attorneys and lawyers about fence hunt. We know we can assume, right? Because we don't. How much do we really know other than what he says in interviews? We can assume he kind of tried to backdoor proof his own hunt. He has a whole section. I wouldn't call it a story. A whole section at the end of his book called what's it called? The Legal Lowdown. Did I get that right? From memory. Yeah. Flip. It's called The Legal Lowdown, right? Which is very interesting. I think I just discovered this. So if you have a first edition book and if you have it in front of you, please do me the favor of turning to page 217. So I apologize because I think whenever I show you something, it's flipped for you. So right here it says Beyond the Map's Edge. This one says chapter title. All right. So in my head, I think that that's a misprint or because every other page has Beyond the Map's Edge, The Legal Lowdown. All right. And again, if somebody else found this and I missed it, apologize. First time I'm hearing about it. First time I think I'm seeing it. So breaking news. If I had a soundboard, I'd hit the breaking news button, right? So if you just flip randomly throughout the rest of the book, let's just pick page 184. Beyond the Map's Edge. Oh, WK, is it already? Oh, okay. So if it was, then want. Not an original to me, if it is. Okay. But the point being that the Legal Lowdown is a story, a section of the book that is not in the table of contents. Right, table of contents, page Roman numeral 7 ends right there with the mountain memory. Oh, I thought I was onto something, Debbie. I thought I had something original. But so unless it was left off the table of contents, if that's an errata, I'm not sure either. But it's not on the table of contents, right? Which kind of people are saying, okay, you've got your main stories, and then there's the legal section at the end, right? Okay, I mean, it's a little odd that you include dedication, prologue, introduction, acknowledgments as far as part of into the, hey, what's up? Appreciate it. As far as stuff that's fair, but the Legal Lowdown is not listed. So what's he trying to say there? Just saying that, okay, hey guys, everything else is fair game, like clues for hunts, but the Legal Lowdown is not in the table of contents, so that's separate. All right, that means you could go back through the dedication, prologue, introduction, acknowledgments, and try to find something, right? But again, so we go to the Legal Lowdown, and because this is evidence that, you know, hey, Justin takes this seriously, he's put all these disclaimers, put all this legal information for us. Heck, we even have a digital fingerprint with all kind of record of knowledge of that. There's bolded, right? Very few sections of the book are bolded, but there's a bolded and italicized on page 215, right? There's a bolded section right there just to keep, hey, this is reinforcing triple way that the steward has no knowledge of the treasure's location, and no one knows where the treasure is but me. That's bolded and italicized. All right. So now that all that's said, a lot of people are trying to eliminate states, which I agree. I like that method. That's how I'm approaching this hunt. I try to eliminate states. And I have a little bit of different criteria that I've talked about before. Some people are using Justin's method, right, of how he eliminated states and looked for states that had higher probability. They're applying it to his hunt, which I'm all for it. I would just say, if you know this is this guy's, it's like, I don't know, a sports guy who's known for a certain thing, and you're going to try to challenge him at his thing, right? It's challenging A-Rod to a home run hitting contest, right? I mean, that's his thing. That's what he does. So this is, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. I would personally, I don't know, challenge A-Rod to a Jack tournament or I don't know, Uno game. Maybe he's weaker at Uno, right? So I'm not going to go too far down the A-Rod. I'm not even a Yankees fan. I just was reading an article about A-Rod, so I don't even like him. Anyways, unless he's watching and he's a fan, then hey, appreciate you, A-Rod. Come on the show. Anyways, getting distracted. So a lot of people are trying to use legal methods to eliminate states, right? Which it's not the way I would go about it. And so some people have said, hey, Idaho is out for this reason, or this state is out for this reason. So that's curious to me because I have Idaho as one of my top finalist states, right? I'm looking in Idaho, and I think it's a higher probability it's in Idaho than a lot of other states. So I'm very curious the fact that, hey, and so right too. Well, Buzz winning all the intelligence contests. Yeah. That's right too. Should read. No one knows what churches but me, and through his pure genius, PD Pop. Hey, Alan, what's going on? Good to see you guys here. And so I didn't ask this person if they wanted to be named publicly, so I'm not going to name them publicly. But I have been communicating with a member of the Discord who has a little bit more of a legal bent, and I've also been I was able to reach out to a few of my buddies who practice law, not treasure hunting law by any means, or even claim it's like one of them's like family law and the other one's some criminal defense stuff. So outside their purview, but I figure they've got a better chance at understanding legalese than I do. So combined to this wonderful, very intelligent Discord anonymous member who will be anonymous until they claim to, or they give me permission to say their name because I didn't ask beforehand. And with my other friends, I haven't eliminated Idaho, right? Because I understand some of the reasoning for it, but doing research on my own with some help from friends, and some outside, I have not eliminated Idaho. I don't think that the way it's been explained to me and the way that people way smarter than I am have explained it to me, Idaho is still in play because of the reasons that Justin put in his legal lowdown, which I believe that's the whole purpose. I find it hard to believe that Justin would put this big map out and say it's somewhere in here when right off the bat you could eliminate a few states due to legal reasons, right? If you can eliminate states for other reasons, I think that's fair game and those are the paths he wants you to take. But for legally, I have not eliminated any states. Now, I will say that I talked about California earlier. I have had some run-ins with California. I did a treasure hunt in California, and for me and my limited legal knowledge, it was very difficult to navigate, and I stepped afoul of a few places. Luckily, I had some people that were involved in enforcing these particular laws kind of joined the Discord and checked it out, and I passed muster, and they didn't decide to prosecute me, thankfully. But yeah, I do. I won't go as far as say eliminate. Or I'll be a little could go easier. California is on my like low list for the difficulty of navigating the loopholes. That's why I put California down the list. There's other states that I eliminate for different reasons. For example, Washington. This may be a silly reason, but Oregon and Washington. I forget what I said. I think it's Washington. That in his errata list, April 2nd, the errata list that came out, there was he had missed like a capital or a major city. And in my mind, I was just thinking, okay, if I have a solve that's in a state, or if I have a $1 million treasure in a state, I'm for sure going to check that state when I put my map out. So unless I believe that Justin sent this map to a third party to do, and they said, okay, it's done, and he didn't look at it at all, and just said, okay, good, send it to the publisher and run it out. If he didn't look at it at all, if he didn't check the work at all, then I'm thinking the map doesn't even matter. Don't even use the map. But at the very least, if you contract a third party, hey, here's a map, here's what I want on it, do elevations, do peaks, do whatever, capitals, send it out. And then they said, okay, hey, it's done. I'm going to look at, okay, let me take a look. Let me look at the states that are involved, the states that have something to do. Okay, yeah, okay. Idaho, yep, that looks good. Okay. New Mexico, okay, yeah, good, looks good. Okay, good, send it. and you missed like a capital in a state, that's huge. So that state to me would just seem to be out. Ivan, hey, what's up, man? Hi, how you doing? Debbie, what's going on? Yeah, Salem. So that's was it Oregon? Debbie, is that what it is? I get them mixed up. I apologize to anyone who lives in Oregon and Washington. I get the states mixed up all the time. But I know that there was a major city missed. If it was Salem or Eureka, in one of the cities on the first edition, and he had to correct it. Let's go. California's rough for gaming contest, right, Alan? Yep, that's what I've uncovered. He went further than he needed to cover his tracks. Maybe the Excellence logo should be lower, possibly flipped. I'm doing good. Good, Ivan. Glad you're doing good. But what about all the white dot locations that create a straight line? Oh, that's good. I appreciate it, Ivan. Thank you. All right, so again, that's the reason why I would eliminate a state. If there's a major error in the map for that state, and it's not, and he didn't address it right away, in my mind, it's like, well, you weren't even looking at it when you proofread it or gave the final approval. So I'm gonna rule that one out. So that's why. Okay, Oregon, good. Now we can settle on it. So that's why I eliminate Oregon like completely, and then California is really low down the list. Hey, what's up, James? How you doing? And then the 4 fence states are also, those are completely out for me. Montana, Colorado, Wyoming, and all of New Mexico north of Santa Fe. So because of that caveat with Fenn, I will include New Mexico south of Santa Fe. And then I eliminate Alaska because it's in 2 different places on the map, and because of the difficulty in getting there and the danger inherent to the area. Alaska is pretty much out. So for me, I've eliminated the 4 Fenn states, pretty much California, eliminate Washington, and Alaska. So I'm only left with what's left: Nevada, Idaho, Arizona, and southern New Mexico. Right? 4? What did I miss? And Washington, right? So only 5 states left, not bad. And some of those you can trim down even more. With Arizona, I eliminate everything within 50 miles of Tucson. It's just not going to be there. It's not. Promise you, it's not going to be there. And then within those areas, you can eliminate more, right? So you can start working on your maps. You can eliminate everything more than 1.5 miles or 2 miles off of a road, right? Any kind of road, which that eliminates a lot of area. Right, that's huge. If you do a program to write that off, anywhere within a road, eliminate anything more than 2 miles. He says 1 mile, but hey, if you want to cover your tracks, want to be safe, eliminate that. That eliminates a huge chunk. Now you're left with anything small, and then from there you can eliminate the popular spots. Right, it's just not going to be somewhere that's super popular. So that's kind of the theory that I'm using, how I narrow down, and then with whatever is left, now I look at the poem, now I go through, and now I search it out. What we got here? I don't know about the best voice in the world. But hey, I appreciate it. Golden, rough, and ready. Big Sur. Love Big Sur. Been there before. Very beautiful. Sacramento's last city to appear. What's up, James? How you doing, James? Just reading the chat here. Catching up. Can you read what I said, please? Read. What'd you say? Can get the best voice in the world, was what you said. Why did you eliminate Washington? No, sorry, I misspoke. Big torpedo. I eliminated Oregon, not Washington. Washington is still very much in play. I like Washington. It's not my top 2 or 3, but if you try to look at Justin's memories and as they associate with the state, Washington would seem to be very positive, right? It's he got his his job. He made a lot of his bones. Got some patents over there, right? He got set with his family. Him and his wife, one of the first places they moved together was up there in Washington. A lot of good memories with the dog in Washington. You could say that's where he refound his spark, being introduced to fence hunt in Washington. So Washington, to me, I would just think has a lot of positive memories associated with it. Okay, here we go. Let's go. All the bear statues seem to be Washington. Emperor, Mine, Cali. Anyone say anything? What looks like possible tracking device for tracking in? No, I haven't heard about the tracking device. No. Washington has to be in play. Did you look at Pierre's Hole in eastern Idaho? Yeah, Idaho. I'm looking at Pierre's Hole. Idaho is really good. I'm not ready to talk specifics about Idaho yet, mainly because I don't want to slip up and really say something that's going to be really huge. So I'm still sorting through. I'm looking at the general region in Idaho is the Snake River Plain area. So that like band, that strip that goes down in the middle. Right across, that's where I'm looking, and a little bit the southern border with with Nevada. And so that's why I'm always interested anytime the word border appears. And then right there we said, what did I just read it again? It's fresh on my mind, but I wanted to get an exact quote and say it out. Let's see. Okay, yeah, bottom page 67, as if raccoons check maps at state borders. All right, so if you're following the thread that we're, as hunters, supposed to be the raccoons, that's another interesting thread that I've fallen down. That theory is pretty cool. Look at any time a raccoon does something and you're the hunter supposed to do that. So if you're the raccoons to check state borders, are we supposed to check state borders for some of the clues that appear? All right. Didn't somebody lose their tire in the Snake River? Yep. Yeah. Very early on. The not just anybody, not just somebody. Like the man himself, his grandfather. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Pete. Lewis and Clark deep dive Shadow Empire. All right. So that was the one thing, was the whole legal aspect. The second thing that I felt is pretty good and wanted to share, because I think only like 20 people were online when this was discussed, is the whole fact of many people are going about this hunt, and Justin says something or he writes something, and they're torn on which way to take it. Do you take it at face value? Is he trying to intentionally mislead you? There's two main camps, and nobody has any way. I mean, somebody hiding a vast fortune to create this experience for all of us, is he innately tricky? Is he innately trying to obfuscate things? Or is he more toward the, hey, I personally didn't get closure from the Fen hunt. I know a lot of us are in the same boat. Here's my attempt to make that right. Do this hunt. It'll have a clean solve. It'll be easy, no drama. That'll be the closure for all of us, and we can all heal from this traumatic event, right? Two different ways to whip. And so a kind of thought process that I was helped along, and the way I see it now, which I think is clean enough to explain, is when you have a treasure hunt creator, I would look at their past and how they've involved themselves in the community, the treasure hunting community at large. And now it's very easy to do that with the online presence, right? With Discord, with Facebook, with Instagram, all these different these mediums to engage. So you look at the creator, right? You look at you can look at use myself as an example. Look at Jason from Skydrop. Look at John from JCB. Look at Justin, right? So if we talk about John, seemed a little bit separated, right, from the community. Some people had a few interactions with him. When he got the olive jar, he popped in. But I haven't heard from too many people, unless they're keeping silent, which is their right. I haven't heard from too many people saying that, oh, I talked to John at some point while he was hunting, or I talked to John before that. Kind of like has his own circle, right? So that's his past as being a little bit removed. Whereas you look at someone like Justin, you can look at YouTube videos, right? With Mike, K-Pro, with Cynthia, with Amy, with Jenny, with all these videos are out there of him engaging with the community, right? And again, I'm not going to go too much detail about people's feelings because, there's I've heard from many different sources, and I try not to, unless I've experienced it myself, I don't like to speak on it. So I'll just say he was engaged, a member of the community, right? And so you look at their intentions going forward. Does he plan to continue being engaged? With JCB, it doesn't seem like that's the case. All right. With Justin, I would say it's very much the case. And so you look at how their actions are, and they both have been associated with some drama, right? Maybe that's not a good catch-all phrase. But the point I ended up making on the Discord was, I think you can look at their intentions and motivations and use that to interpret their words, right? So what I'm trying to say is, if you have a hunt, if you have a solve, and and here's another big current event, right? Everyone's talking about the road closures, right? And here's my take on the road closures, is that he was very intentional on both my interview, on both K-Pro and Calazar's interview. It's tough. There's like 4 names I know them by, like Mike and Chrissy, and then K-Pro and Calazar, and I just mix up. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Road closures, right? He was very intentional during the interviews to say, today is March whatever. As of this moment, right now, 8:30 p.m., it is accessible. Very intentional, very deliberate wording. And so then he was asked a question. believe by it was Mark, and he went out and he sent an update talking about he wanted to clarify that statement and address that question a little bit. So here's how I'm taking it, is that when he made that initial statement, as a creator, you have very limited control over your hunt. You can once you hit start, it's almost out of your control how the public takes it. So the things you can control are you can control where you hide it. That's in your control. You can control how you release information. That's in your control. And you can control when you release the information. Those three things are in your control. Outside of that, you can't control what people are going to do. You can't control how they're going to interpret your words. And you can't control where people are going to look, right? So you can't control what they're going to do, where they're going to look, and how they're going to interpret your words. So you have three things you can control, three things you can't control. And I think it's very important to look at how he did the limited things that are in his control. So he chose when to release, right? We even heard from K-Pro that he asked her if she could delay TreasureCon because he knew when he wanted to release. He had a set time. Now, what is important about that time? I haven't uncovered everything about it. I'm not sure. Some people have some theories about why he chose that time, why he couldn't move it up, why he couldn't move it back. I don't know. That's I haven't gone that deep into it. I do think it's a valid rabbit hole to go down into, right? So he chose that day for, and he knew roads were going to be closed, right? I don't think it's in the fence states, but he knew because he searched there. He knew when roads were closed, what their seasonal closures are. The seasonal closures are publicized well in advance. They're well known, right? Let's take a little break. Some people are talking here. Walk slower on the trail next time. Mike in Montana has this. Did he really make a mission not that easy or a great head fake? I haven't looked at the other one based on preferred. Has anyone marked people based on page what X map lines cross? Oh, pretty interesting, Alan. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, the big torpedo. That's kind of what I'm talking about with Montana, man. Is that in something like this where 90% of people will go, I want to be away from them. So it's tough because there's a treasure hunt. There's a poem, and the majority of people. I know everyone thinks you're unique. You're all snowflakes. We get it. Your mom told you you're special. But the majority of you will interpret the poem a certain way. There's just going to be a majority. That's just the way humans and brains work. I can't explain it to you. That's the way it's going to work. So I would want to find myself in the minority. Now, when you put yourself with the minority, you're with the fringe, right? You're with some because the guy who's going to find it, he's going to be in the minority because he's going to be the only one looking for it. But who else is going to be the minority is all the tinfoil hat, crazy conspiracy theory people. Like, you're also being the minority. So you find yourself with a wild crowd, right? Good idea, honestly, I'll be something there. Kid, all right. Hey, what's up, kid? So the main point I was trying to make in all my rambling with this is that basically the bottom line is I'm taking Justin at his word. As he released information, I'm going with the most common interpretation and the most surface level with the information he's released, with the errata page, with the rules, right? The poem, that's fair game. Go layers down in the poem. But why don't go layers down in the errata list? Like, the errata list and his rules page, that's not where you want to look for codes, anagrams, secrets, multi-level meanings, right? No. Because in my mind, that's why he left it off the table of contents. I think that unless he comes out with an errata saying, that's why I left it off the table of contents, to me that's saying that, hey, everything in the table of contents, that's the game. That's the game board. Have fun. Go wild. If it's off the table of contents, this is legal. This is for, hey, this is to cover both of our butts. This is so I can ensure it's a safe hunt, right? That's the way I look at it, right? And until he comes out and addresses it as something different, that's just that's my 2 cents on that. Yeah, Catherine, and I mean, that's fair game, right? Like I said, the things you can control and can't control. He can't control where you're going to look. I mean, if a road's closed and someone has 4x4 or a really good set of legs, they're just going to go around it. I mean, there's not guards standing at all the road closures forcing you to stay out, right? He can't control that. It's just, in my mind, he's doing the best he can to kind of lead you and guide you to where you need to look. I get off saying it's Montana would rather be a minority. Looking for other pencil shades. Yeah, big torpedo. The table. What's up with the table, Davio? Oh, the clues are on the table. Why the site says filled to the brim. Yeah, I said it a few times, filled to the brim. All right, so I want to cover the legal stuff. I want to cover Idaho. I want to cover kind of interpreting Justice Road, the road closure signs. Yeah, so to me, if there's a road closure and it comes out that, oh, you could only access this from May to August, and it was like 9 miles otherwise, you'd have to hike 9 miles. Like, if that's the solve, there's going to be people that complain and whine. There's going to be people that, that parse his words, and it's just going to be too messy. So for me, I'm not looking there as of yet. Now, if we're still playing this game next year, no one's found it, maybe we'll go down that rabbit hole. All right. What else? I think that's all I kind of want to touch on tonight, or this afternoon. It's not really nighttime yet. But if there's any other questions, I'll take any open questions. I was impressed. There was no trolls today. That's good. Always a good sign for a live when everyone behaves themselves. But I appreciate you guys watching. Will, Davio, Debbie, Catherine, Big Torpedo, Alan. I know we have good chats on the Discord, so it's always good to see you guys appearing up. Much love to you guys there. All right, take care. Nothing wrong with the good rabbit hole. Yeah, hey, and that's one more thing is, just because I'm not a fan of the rabbit hole doesn't mean it's most of the time it's because I don't have either a desire or I'm not good at it. Like, I like learning about mythology, but I'm not one to dive into a mythological hole. It's just not. So I'll listen to you talk about it, but it's not something that I'm gonna search on my own. I like maps. I like drawing lines, plotting points on maps. I like state borders. Those are kind of holes I'm interested in. Any hole that's associated with a word on the poem, I'm all about. If you want to deep dive the word flowing, the word guards, if you want to deep dive alliteration, if you want to deep dive measuring in the meter of a poem, if you want to deep dive feet, I'm all for that. Those are deep dives I like because it's in the poem. But if it's something that's tangentially related to the poem or a topic of a topic, Freemasons, Declaration of Independence, like, I like learning and listening about it, and I'll learn and listen about it and discuss it, but I'm just not going to deep dive it on my own. Is there a lead searcher? I don't know. There might be a lead searcher, though. No, I don't know. I don't know if there's a lead. I don't think there's a lead one yet. Nothing wrong with red. Looking for data points. Yeah, I like data points, Davio. Double tap for likes. Double tap for likes. I didn't know that. I didn't know you could just double tap and I would like it. How about the meteor? Has to be something there. I don't know. Something there as far as what do you mean? Like, where he found the meteor, and that's a key to where it's gonna be, or like the meteor, the makeup of the meteor. There's clues in that, or the size of the meteor. What do you, if you're able to elaborate, what are you talking about specifically with the meteor and something there? My favorite character, the Goonies. Is that I didn't know. So I probably should watch the Goonies at some point. I haven't. I've never seen the movie full. It's come on a few times on TV. I remember changing the channel. No offense to any big Goonies fans out there. I'm big Indiana Jones fans, and actually I asked my mom if she had the photo of it. There's a photo of me going to school for Halloween. I had a fedora, and I don't think I had a whip, but I've had some rope that I made a whip. And so I had I had a leather jacket. So I had an Indiana Jones costume as a kid in middle school. I know there's a picture of it somewhere. I think actually the picture made the school yearbook. I'm sure there's a lot of people laughing at me. What's your opinion on the? I stay out of politics, man. I'm not a political guy. I don't consider myself educated enough to even speak about it. So I don't have an opinion on the war. I have an idea that war is tragic. I understand sometimes people feel it's necessary, so I'm not going to say war is bad. But I know it is tragic and it causes a lot of pain and suffering all over the world. In my opinion, there's never been a clean war. Someone's always going to get, someone innocent is always going to get hurt. But we're not going to get to, this is not the channel to get political on. A place where there are creators. Oh, okay. So if that's what you're talking about, yeah, then Creators of the Moon, man, that's like my number one spot. I love it. Not specifically on that spot because you have to pay to get in, but that area around it. That's my number one spot still. Followed closely by the Idaho-Nevada border. That's like my number 2 area. But if that's what you mean, then yeah, I agree. Anywhere with, and some people have said they've researched old crater strikes in Montana, and there are some fields that kind of like start in Montana and go down into Idaho. So Yeah, there's some good stuff there. I mean, hey, I don't mind deep diving the word meteor because meter and measure, it's close. It could be what's that? A homonym? Is that the term when the words sound the same? Is that a homonym? If someone knows. Let's see. Man with no name. There we go. Got to vote for you next time. Stuck in Montana. Hey man, I'm stuck in still in southern New Mexico or in Idaho. So hopefully we'll both get unstuck and find some real treasure soon. All right, guys. No, it's not synonyms, Debbie. It's I want to say it's homonym. It's a word that sounds like another word, but it doesn't mean the same. All right, guys. Talk to you guys later.